Every once in a while, I read a manga or watch an anime or fiction that changes my perspective on the narrative stories I read and watch weekly. Something that alters the scope of how we as readers interpret and enjoy the stories we love. Kenshin, Death Note, Hunter x Hunter, Sunken Rock, Vagabond, Gintama, Kingdom, and Tokyo Ghoul, just to name a few. But there's one story that I've read recently that has shown no exception. Tower of God.
To me, everyone's an amateur.
Do you know my nickname? If not, remember it now. It's Shi Tree of Teleportation.
Lost. Daring to challenge me was foolish of you.
What is Tower of God? As the mangaka puts it, what do you desire? Money and wealth? Glory, honor and pride? Is it authority and power? Revenge? Or something that transcends all of them? Whatever you desire is in here, Tower of God. As the title suggests, this beginning chapter, is a preview of what is to come, as well as simultaneously serving as the storyline to the narrative for readers to be intrigued by. Hatsu, Kun, Anag, Rak, Head-On, and Bam, in that order, each have a purpose for climbing the tower, or serving the tower with different reasons. As the story progresses in these first 80 chapters, we learn sort of what each character is motivated by. So let's talk about the arcs. Season 1 was a much tighter story. It is filled with puzzles, teamwork, character personalities, is what drives the series forward. It's really about how the team gets together and uses their strengths to sort of this well-oiled machine. The fights were pretty interesting, in my opinion, and they had some clever parts in it. From the beginning, where Bam gets thrown into the tower and meets Head-On, the floor master, and sort of his introduction to Yuri Jihad, one of the princesses, and her guide Evan, and how he obtained this weapon Black March and is able to use it, being an irregular, all the way up to, the epilogue of Rachel, the last part of the pre-time skip, and one of the most hated characters in the series, as over the anime community. It's the arcs for me personally, from Ivanka's Hell, Leroy's Test, some of the Crown Game. I think some of the best moments were probably for me was the hide and seek, and sort of that arc was really well done. With Quant, and learning about Shinsu control, and learning how the regulars and as opposed to some of the rankers and how they fight, and just getting an introduction to what this whole world is about. This vast knowledge that is obtained at higher the more you climb. And so for me, I wasn't really necessarily interested in the series until, probably say post time skip. It was something I read because I wanted to, read with a friend, and someone introduced to me, Glam, a friend of mine. And so I wanted to see what everyone's opinions, why this was considered such a good series across the board. And so, I took a look and got invested into it. But I gotta say, I think I wasn't really invested into the story till much later, which is right before the Hell Train arc, but that's a video for another day. So let's talk about one of the biggest driving forces of any anime or manga or webtoon series. It's the protagonist of the story, Bam. Now, I do have different perspectives. I feel like the repetition you're noticing, or we notice more and more, that Bam represents, is he has a strong and he's a principled character. And in any ordinary story, this could get boring quickly. But in Tower of God, a huge outer story is unfolding. Bam doesn't know his place yet in the tower and still has no real purpose but to climb and protect his friends. There are hints at a more vast destiny for him when he makes statements regarding opposing jihad, or characters, reveal pieces of his true background. Because, things are spaced out and come as hints, it's easy to overlook and forget how many relevant characters we have met that are destined to have a big impact in the story. And the politics plays a big part. They just barely begun. People's true allegiances and sides are all just beginning to form. It's very exciting in that regard. In my opinion, Bam has roughly 3 phases in Tower of God story so far. The main being season 1, where Bam is innocent and trusting. He's very single-minded in his endeavor to reunite with Rachel and stay with her. His character draws in companions of all different kinds. Much later, Khun would explain how Bam's innocence attracted him, and his reasoning may well apply to many others to various degrees. Bam retains something that has been long lost to others tower climbers. His relationship with all his friends feel natural and organic, and people are attracted by Bam and want to befriend him and help him. This is the fact of the matter is, to me, is the character is lacking, to say the least, and this is all due to the fact that there isn't an astronomically large driving force for him during season 1. He was in a huge rush to find Rachel, which is his only goal. The story is at a point where it's gradually building up Bam's reason to continue on his climb alongside his friends, who, if I may add, are the only reason I can see for which he is still even going. He's slowly learning bits and pieces about himself and what it is that he is expected to do. Anyways, the point is that while, in my personal opinion, Bam is a good character now, he currently doesn't have any, at that time, major drive to make him want to do the things as quickly as he is now. Bam has more dimensions than a few other protagonists in other series, as of now. I mean, to think about it, Tower of God is very existential. There are multiple layers sort of overlapping in the story. And I think Bam, in the beginning, attempts to affirm his identity, whatever he is. He's going with the flow. And the only action that he does aside from climbing is reacting to Rachel. In truth, this makes his character fluid and amorphous as developed later on to the story, just not in pre-timeskip. He's still growing, maturing, and of that sort. And after being a kid who was isolated in the cave, a lot of things we see in his character is what's to be expected of such a person. It's not a bad thing that Sue is setting it up this way. It's just, it takes 80 chapters to get to this point. But so far, it's been good to see character development of the different companions in the beginning part of the story, which is nowhere near as fleshed out as it should be later on, which is why, things are bound to happen and progress, the characters of the narrative. Bam might become stoic about his resolve to protect his friends, but we'll see if he imposes his perception on others, which I believe he was called out on at some point. What the story needs now is just more development for his companions and the protagonist of the story, which I believe he is receiving currently. I will make a video sometime later about why post-time skip is so well developed and his comparisons amongst other webtoons and manga series. Okay guys, that's gonna do it for me today.